Good evening, honorable judges, member of the House, and fellow debaters. I stand as the first speaker of opening government. Let me begin by defining the motion. Alternative assessments means evaluations such as project presentation, portfolios, or practical work, not just written tests. More effective means they better measure students' real understanding skills and creativity. Our team strongly believes that alternative assessments are more effective than written exams for three main reasons. First, alternative assessments show real learning, not just memorization. Written exams often test short-term memory. Meanwhile, project and practical work show how students apply knowledge in real-life situations. According to Harvard Graduate School of Study, 2021, students in project-based programs scores 20% higher in understanding and application compared to those using only exams. Second, they encourage creativity and critical thinking. When students design, analyze, and present, they learn to think independently and find solutions, skills needed in the modern world. Third, they reduce exam stress. Traditional exams often create fear and anxiety because students are judged in a single sitting. Alternative assessment allow them to learn at their own pace and focus on improvement, not just scores. In conclusion, alternative assessment make learning more meaningful, fair, and enjoyable. Education should not only measure memory, but also understanding and creativity. That's why we, the opening government, strongly support this motion. Thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Nugroho and I am as the first speaker of opening opposition. And the honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that I want to say that we strongly disagree with this motion that alternative assessment are more effective than written exams. While we recognize that alternative assessments such as projects, presentation, or portfolios can be usable, we believe that written exams remain the most fair, efficient, and objective way to evaluate student understanding and academic performance. And written exams provides fairness and standardization. Every student answers the same questions under the same time conditions. This helps teachers evaluate students based on equal criteria. In contrast, alternative assessments often depend on subjective judgment. For example, a teacher's personal impression or bias can affect grades in group projects or oral presentations. Therefore, written exams ensure that all students are assessed equally and objectively. Second, written exams are effective in testing students' knowledge, understanding, and ability to think critically under pressures. Exam encourage students to review materials deeply and practice time management. According to a 2020 study by Cambridge Assessment, students who regularly take structure written exam develop stronger analytical and problem-solving skills compared to those assessed mainly through projects. This shows that exam not only test memory but also intellectual discipline. And in conclusion, while alternative assessment have certain benefits, they cannot replace the fairness, efficiency, and reliability of written exams. Exam remains the best way to measure student individual academic achievement in standardized and objective manners. For this reason, we proudly stand against this motion. And thank you.
Good evening, everyone, honorable judges, respected opponents, and our audience. I am the second speaker from the opening government team. I strongly support the motion that alternative assessments are more effective than written exams. First, Alternative assessments such as project, presentation, or portfolios allow students to show their real skills, not just memorization. In real life, success is not based on how many facts we can memorize, but on how we apply knowledge and solve problems. These skills are rather developed through alternative assessments. Second, alternative assessments can reduce students' stress and anxiety. Many students feel pressured during written exams because they only have one chance to perform well. But with alternative assessments, students can express their understanding in different ways, making the learning process more comfortable and enjoyable. Lastly, alternative assessments encourage creativity and critical thinking. Instead of memorizing facts, students learn to analyze, create, and express their ideas. This makes learning more meaningful and helps them prepare for real-world challenge. So, in conclusion, alternative assessments are more effective because they develop real skills, reduce stress, and promote creativity. It's why we proudly support this motion. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adrian Ahmad.A.H. As the second speaker of opening opposition, I would like to extend my partner's argument. But first, I would like to explain what the motion is about. Written exams are the most objective, efficient, and rigorous method for ensuring students whether they have mastered essential knowledge and are held individually accountable. Members of the House, we stand firmly against today's motions. The government will paint a lovely pictures of creative projects and students happily collaborating, but this picture ignores a harsh and inconvenient truth. The written exam, which they so casually dismiss, is the great equalizer. It is the single most objective and standardized and unbiased tool we have to measure of what a student knows. It doesn't care about your personality, your presentation skills, or your teacher's pet status. It only cares about your knowledge. We will prove that the government's proposal will replace a fair, objective system with one riddled with subjectivity. The core of my argument is that written exams are objective and standardized and fair of what I've said before. It is the most effective tool for minimizing bias. When all students take the same test under the same conditions and it is graded with a clear rubric or by a computer, we ensure every student is measured by the same yardsticks. For example, alternative assessments are notoriously subjective. How does one fairly grade creativity in a project or contribution in a group work? This subjectivity can lead to favoritism and bias. An exam, especially multi-choice, is marked objectively. The impact is that objectivity is the cornerstone of fair assessment. Written exam protects students from implicit bias and ensure that grades are based on knowledge and not a teacher's personal preference. So I strongly disagree with the motions. That is all for me. Thank you very much.
Honorable judges, respected member of the opposition bench, our fellow government team, and everyone present here today. I'm the first speaker of closing government, and we stand firmly with the motion. This House believes that if alternative assessment are more effective than written exams, our opening government has already shown that alternative assessment better measure understanding and promote inclusivity. As the closing government, we will extend the debate by introducing new perspective on how alternative assessment enhance real-world readiness, develop essential life skill, and transform the purpose of education itself. Alternative assessment redefine the true purpose of education, shifting from memorization to mastery and from competition
to collaboration. UNESCO 2022 Global Education Monitoring Report emphasized that modern education should focus on the four C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. These skills are cultivated through performance tasks, group projects, and reflective journals, not standardized exams. The dominance of written exams has reduced education to test preparation assessment. On the other hand, brings education back to its original roots. Children nurtured thinkers, creators, and problem solvers, not just task takers. For example, project-based learning in school education reform led to higher innovation output and student satisfaction, showing that when assessment match educational goals, quality naturally improves. Therefore, adopting alternative assessment is not just about testing differently, it's about transforming education itself into a system that truly develops human potential. The opposition might argue that written exams are more objective and efficient. However, objectively does not equal effectively. Method can be perfectly standardized yet fail to measure real understanding or ability. However, teachers can ensure fairness in alternative assessment through clear rubrics, field review, and consistent feedback, making them both fair and effective. Motivated outside has shown that alternative assessment more effective because they first measure reward, skill, and application. Second, build growth, mindset, and continuous learning. And third, redefine education to focus on human development rather than memorization. Written exam may have tradition, but tradition alone cannot justify in efficiency. The future we want education to prepare students for the world beyond school, then alternative assessment are the future. Therefore, the passing government should stand for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm as the first speaker of closing opposition. I will extend my argument. If we remove written exam, national standards collapse. Exam ensure fairness and consistency. Everyone is judged by the same criteria. Without them, grades become incomparable. And the government may say alternative assessment measure creativity, but they ignore the bias and inequality. Students in rural areas often lack access to good teachers or resources, making the system unfair. We see this before in South Korea 2019 policy led to great inflation and inconsistency. So removing exam is not reform, it's regression. Written exam remain the fairest and most reliable tool we have. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable judges, respected member of the opposition bench, and our fellow government team, and everyone present here today. As the second speaker of the closing government, I am here to strengthen our bench stains, defend our extension, and prove why alternative assessment are indeed more effective than written exams. Our opening government and my partner have already shown how alternative assessment promote comprehensive evaluation, inclusivity, and real-world readiness. Now my duty is to rebuild our case, rebut the opposition claim, and consolidate this debate under outside framework or of educational effectiveness. The opposition may argue that written exams are more objective, standardized, and efficient in measuring student academic performance. However, honorable judges, objectivity doesn't equal accuracy and efficiency doesn't equal effectiveness. A system that measures only what can be memorized fails to reflect what has truly been learned. Written exams provide only a snapshot of performance under stress, while alternative assessment reveal the full picture of student understanding, creativity, and growth over time. Moreover, standardization often erases individuality. Education should measure diverse abilities, not force students into in one size fits all system. Alternative assessment encourage deeper understanding and long-term retention of knowledge compared to written exam. Educational research John Hattie to 2020 found that students who participate in project-based and performance assessment retain information 50% longer and demonstrate 35% higher conceptual understanding than those who learn for traditional exam. This is because alternative assessment emphasize application and reflection, not memorization. Students must analyze, create, and connect knowledge to real context, which leads to active learning and deeper comprehension. In Finland and Singapore, both globally recognized for educational excellence, project-based and inquiry-based assessment are integrated throughout the year, proving the assessment for learning works better than assessment of learning. Therefore, if our goal is to create critical thinkers and problem solvers, not mere test takers, then alternative assessment are undeniably more effective. As the closing government, we have extended the debate by showing that the true purpose of education is to prepare students for real life challenge, not just to pass exam. We have proven that alternative assessment lead to real-world readiness, personal growth, and educational fairness outcomes that written exam cannot deliver. So, in essence, the government side readiness effectiveness as the ability of education to produce capable, confident, and creative learners, not just students who can survive a 3-hour test. Honorable judges who in the closing government have demonstrated that alternative assessment produce deeper and more meaningful learning. They nurture emotional and social intelligence and they create fairer, more inclusive education system. Written exam are relics of a system that values memorization over mastery. Alternative assessment are the pathway to an education that values human potential over mechanical performance. Therefore, for all this reason, we probably stand by the motion this house believes that alternative assessment are more effective than written exam. Thank you.
Honorable judges and members of the House, the government romanticizes alternative assessment but fails to prove they are more effective than exams. From opening opposition and our bench, we've shown that exams ensure fairness, consistency, and meritocracy. Everyone faces the same questions under the same time with the same grading system. That's objectivity. Alternative assessment, meanwhile, brings up subjectivity, bias, and inequality, which your students are more confident. Speakers have clear advantages. Even if exams are perfect, they remain the most standardized and reliable way to evaluate learning outcomes. For all these reasons, brought to oppose. Thank you.